Play clock at 5.
Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal. It's right. He's in. Patriots win the Super Bowl. Brady has his fifth. What a comeback.
This is All Eyes on the Pats podcast.
Welcome to All Eyes on the Pats podcast. I'm your host, Steve Atkinson. Got a full show tonight talking everything New England Patriots in the offseason as the NFL season has officially ended and the offseason has officially begun. For the Patriots, it began in January after the embarrassing loss to the Buffalo Bills in the wild card game. But the season ended Sunday night when the Rams beat the Cincinnati Bengals to win the Super Bowl. And I'm going to start on the Super Bowl and how it relates to the Patriots and how close are the Patriots to the Bengals. And then I'm going to go into a topic I heard on Sports Talk Radio, preferably on 98.5 The Sports Hub, on a debate between Sean McVay versus Bill Belichick and how there's a lot of guys, local media out there that are saying they would rather have Sean McVay right now instead of Bill Belichick. And then I'm going to go into the coaching situation where the Patriots have no offensive coordinator. They have no defensive coordinator. Other coaches, other assistants were going with Josh McDaniels to the Raiders. I'm going to read you Tommy Curran's story from NBC Sports Boston, what he wrote yesterday, which is pretty good. And then I'm going to read you what Mike Reese wrote on Sunday, on his Sunday notes about Matt Patricia's role in the Patriots offense. And then I'm going to end it with a Richard Seymour talking with Kraft, as Richard Seymour is in the Hall of Fame. And I'll give you my Patriots who should be in the Hall of Fame, obviously, besides Richard Seymour. I'm going to start talking about the Super Bowl and how that game was a good game. The Rams came ready to play, and they were dominant pretty much throughout the postseason. And I want to say this about Matt Stafford, and you got to give Stafford credit. This, I was here in Boston, 98.5 again. I listen to Felger and Maz every day, and Tony, Maz, and Jim Murray were saying that, Stafford still sucks and all this other stuff. And it's like, the guy went from the losingest organization in football, the Detroit Lions, all right? They haven't won a thing. They absolutely suck. He gets traded to a team that's ready to win now, has a good head coach, loaded on defense, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, freaking loaded, right? And then they got Cooper Kupp, they get Odell Beckham. I mean, they're loaded, ready to win now, and he wins the Super Bowl, and he still sucks. Like, you got to give the guy credit. You got to give him his due. Stafford is deserved it. He deserves recognition. He deserves credit for the win. Cooper Kupp deserves MVP. That guy is phenomenal. And, but again, the guy went from a bad organization, dreadful Lions, who don't win anything, to a team ready to win, and they won the Super Bowl. So, and the Bengals played good. Joe Burrow, showed a lot of toughness in his second year. And how does that relate to the Patriots, right? So I told you last week, I think the Patriots were rooting for the Rams in the Super Bowl because they didn't want to go through Joe Burrow. They didn't want to have to go, now we have to have another quarterback in the AFC. We already have Josh Allen. We already have Patrick Mahomes. And now it's Joe Burrow, right? But having the Bengals lose, how close are the New England Patriots to the Bengals? That's my question. How close are they? Are they a receiver away? Are they a wide receiver away from being Ja'Marr Chase and Joe Burrow? is and I think they are to some extent, right? I think you have Kendrick Bourne, you have Hunter Henry, maybe Nelson Aguilar gets better, but you need a number one guy, right? So you need that Mac Jones, connection with maybe someone he played with in college in Alabama, like Joe Burrow, and I have said this with Ja'Marr Chase. Once they got Ja'Marr Chase, the Bengals played better, right? Once that happened, everyone else started playing better. Same thing could happen with the Patriots. They could get a wide receiver from Alabama. He comes in, does well in his rookie year. They all hit it off, and the Patriots could be where the Bengals were this year, next year. They could be, and it's not saying they will be, but they could be. But they need an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator, and they need a quarterback coach, which they don't have at the moment. But I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But I want to talk also about Sean McVay versus Bill Belichick. So Sean McVay's been in the league since 2017. Belichick's been in the league for like 40 years. So I'm going to give you these stats, okay? Sean McVay is 55-26 in 5 years as a Rams head coach. Bill Belichick, since 2017, since McVay has been in the league, is 53-23. McVay took Matt Stafford and Jared Goff to the Super Bowl. Bill Belichick has only taken Tom Brady to the Super Bowl, but won 6 times. McVay took Jared Goff to the Super Bowl, lost to Tom Brady and the Patriots, and he was in awe of Belichick, remember? Gets a loaded team, Matt Stafford, with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller, Odell Beckham Jr., Cooper Kupp's now developed. Oh, and McVay drafted Cooper Kupp and developed him. Bill Belichick has drafted N'Keal Harry, and we all know how that's gone. But he just drafted Mac Jones and Christian Barmore, and that's gone well. The coaching tree for Sean McVay is Zach Taylor. He has a Super Bowl appearance already with the Bengals. And Matt LaFleur with the Packers. Bill Belichick's coaching tree is Matt Patricia, who was fired from the Lions, is now back as an assistant to Belichick. He's getting paid by Detroit. Josh McDaniels was fired from the Broncos, now head coach of the Raiders. We'll see how he does. Joe Judge, fired from the Giants, now back with the offensive assistant for the Patriots. He's still getting paid by the Giants. The question is, can Belichick win a Super Bowl without Brady? And who's better right now? Is it Belichick or Sean McVay? Who would you rather have right now? And I still would rather have Belichick. After all the numbers I just said, McVay has a better record than Bill. He has a better win record. He has a better loss record. Belichick is 53-23. McVay is 55-26. Not good with math, but he's been to 2 Super Bowls, and I understand he's taken quarterbacks other than Tom Brady to the Super Bowl, right? But the team was loaded this year. Like, they should have won the Super Bowl. They were better than Tampa. I know Tampa almost won because they had Tom Brady at quarterback. The Rams were loaded. Loaded. So to say Sean McVay's a good coach, yeah. And his assistants are good, of course. Yeah, Zach Taylor's in the Super Bowl. Why was Zach Taylor in the Super Bowl? Why? He got a good quarterback. You could say the same thing for Bill Belichick. He had a great quarterback. Then he had a bad quarterback in 2020 with Cam Newton and no talent on it. And he had no talent with him either. He gets Mac Jones. They make the playoffs. They go 10-7. They got pieces. They have tight ends. Well, one tight end, Jonnu Smith. I don't know what's going on with him. They have Hunter Henry, at least. Devin Isiasi, maybe he comes through. Who knows, right? I'm still picking Belichick there. I'm still picking the experience. If Bill Belichick and Sean McVay faced off in the Super Bowl again, Belichick's going to win again. Because Sean McVay is going to be too in awe again of Bill. Like he was before. I'm so happy for you, Coach. I look up to you, Coach. He was in awe of Belichick. And he will beat McVay again. He will. In the Super Bowl. If that happened. If it's Mac Jones and the Patriots versus the Rams in the Super Bowl. I'm biased against the Patriots. It would be close. Even if they play in the regular season. I think the Patriots would pull it out. I do. Because I think McVay would be too much of an awe of Belichick. Because he's like a god. And we saw that, like I said, in the 2018 Super Bowl. So, like I said, I get where McVay has done great things, and he has. He's won the Super Bowl twice. He's won the Super Bowl. But you can't go against Belichick, man. It's just... And that leads us to this topic. And that's Bill Belichick's coaching tree. I'm going to read an article by Tommy Curran from yesterday. Here it is, from NBC Sports Boston. I'm not sure how many true believers remain in the Bill We Trust Brigade. But if you're still living with blind faith that Bill Belichick's master plan for success in the 2020s was to say so long to Tom Brady, Nick Caserio, Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, Monty Austinfort, can't pronounce his last name, Ernie Adams, Dante Scarnecchia, and Brian Flores blow almost the entirety of every draft from 2017 through 19, and then welcome Matt Patricia and Joe Judge back to the staff after each man flamed out spectacularly with the Lions and Giants, you might need a gentle nudge back into reality. Has the greatest coach in pro football history and arguably American team sports more than earned the benefit of the doubt when it comes to running a football team? Of course he has. Since Halloween of 2019, the Patriots have gone 21-22. Their post-December 1 record in the last 3 seasons is 7-11. There's no need to there's no need to go back to the Brady departure. No need to ponder whether Mac Jones was good planning or great luck. No need to lament the failed selections of Cyrus Jones, N'Keal Harry, Jawan Williams, Isaiah Wynn, Chase Winovich, and point out who the Patriots could have had. With the 2021 season officially over as of this past Sunday, the question is how impressive is the contingent of the Patriots employees changed with them bringing them back to prominence. So, and here's the other thing, right? You're losing a lot of guys on defense. McCourty, Hightower, Matthew Slater. You're potentially going to be losing guys that are leaders in the locker room. And at the moment, you do not have a defensive coordinator, nor do you have an offensive coordinator. So, if you don't get back Matthew Slater, Dante Hightower, Devin McCourty, Matthew Slater special teams, but he's a leader in the locker room. Those voices in the locker room mean a lot. Mac Jones is in his second year, and people look up to him. Players will start to warm up to him more, and he'll try and learn more leadership skills. Having those guys in the locker room this past season probably taught him leadership, and it's only going to teach him more leadership and get better. But the stat of the Patriots being 21-22 since Halloween of 2019, that's Brady's last season, that's crazy. And when you think about it, the Patriots have brought back people that Bill knows or people that are working under him that are his family, or, you know, they like their new director of player personnel, Matt Groh. He worked with the Patriots. He's the son of the former Patriots player and assistant coach Al Groh. He's been with the organization since 2011. And he got his start as a scouting assistant. He was promoted to the director of college scouting in 2021. Groh joined Ziegler and front office consultant Elliot Wolf during the 2021 offseason to form the collaborative trio that filled the void left by previous director of player personnel Nick Caserio. That structure paid dividends at the 2021 NFL Draft, where the Patriots hit 3 home runs and Mac Jones, Radmore Stevenson, and defensive tackle Christian Barmore. I was reading from NBC Sports Boston again. So Matt Groh was Al Groh, son of Al Groh, I should say. And, you know, Belichick worked with Al Groh before. So, okay, I know Matt, and, you know, so I'm going to get him back. You know, Joe Judge got fired from the Giants, so I'm going to bring him back and be an offensive assistant. Matt Patricia got fired from the Lions. Oh, the Lions are paying Matt Patricia, so I'm going to get him back. You see that's what it is. It's all players. It's all former assistants. If McDaniels flames out in the Raiders and he gets fired in a year or two, I'm sure he'll be back. Right? So, who knows? Who knows? I mean, I don't know. I mean, McDaniels put a one-page, a great tribute to Patriot fans today in the Boston Globe, but who knows? You know, Belichick is very careful where he spends his, or I shouldn't say spends his money, but I should say that he's careful at what he does, and he doesn't want people, outside voices, to come in probably and say, okay, you should be doing this, because he wants to be in control. It's his show, right? He wants it to go his way and no one else's way, right? Last year with the collaborative thing, it was probably good, but he's worked with those guys before. Dave Ziegler, Elliot Wolf. Like it was a more of a Matt Groh. It was more of a collaborative thing, but he's worked with them. He's not going to hire an outside guy to come in and say, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, and Bill's going to go, no. You know what I mean? So it's going to be people that he trusts and he knows. And that's what it is. And I think if they don't get Bill O'Brien, Mike Reese put in his Sunday notes this past week of Matt Patricia fitting that role. Here's what Mike Reese had to say. The first domino in Bill Belichick's plans to shape his offensive coaching staff after Josh McDaniels' departure was the hiring of Joe Judge. Could a second domino include senior football advisor Matt Patricia? Few, if any, truly know what Belichick is thinking, but the possibility of Patricia joining the offensive staff in some capacity has come up in conversations with smart NFL personnel projecting Belichick's next move, and the thinking goes like this. With the Patriots set to retain the core of their existing defensive staff, but losing elite institutional brainpower knowledge on offense without McDaniels and others, Belichick might view some of the combination of Patricia and Judge as his best option to spearhead the offensive transition. With a second-year quarterback who basically had the best rookie season ever. And you want Joe Judge, who, again, ruined the Giants. Daniel Jones. I think that's his name. Yep, Daniel Jones from the Giants. Ruined him. But I don't think Mac Jones will get ruined. I don't, because I think Belichick will oversee, because he oversees everything, right? Joe Judge was the head coach. And just like Matt Patricia with Detroit, like he was the head coach. Bill's the head coach. Bill's not going to let them ruin Mac Jones. They're not. He's not. He's not going to do it. Mac Jones is a smart kid, and he knows what he's doing. He's going to be better, and, they do need a quarterback coach because they lost their quarterback coach to the Las Vegas Raiders. They lost Mick Lombardi to the Raiders. Josh McDaniels literally took most of the Patriots' assistants to the Raiders, which is not good, right? But I think it's still early, and I think that there's going to be time where we have to come to grip with, okay, are they going to have an offensive coordinator or are they going to have a defensive coordinator? They need to, like, who's going to call the plays? Matt Patricia? No. Joe Judge, maybe, right? Matt Patricia's only on defense. He doesn't really know the offensive side of the ball that well. So from that perspective, it's like there's a lot of question marks that need to be filled, and they probably will be filled in the next couple of weeks, in the next few months, and as we lean in towards the draft more, and we talk about, the off season, and then because it's still early, it's February, so the season just ended Sunday, so but it's kind of a little like, okay, what is their plan? What are they projecting? Are they going to hire another guy like Bill O'Brien? Is he going to come in from Alabama and be the real offensive coordinator? Because that would be ideal, right? Even Greg Bedard said it on Felger and Maz yesterday or Tuesday. That would be ideal to have him, to have Bill O'Brien here, and that's not out of the possibility yet. So we'll see if that happens. But I don't know, as it pertains to the defensive side of the ball, I want to talk about what Matt Judon said to Felger and Maz on last week on Radio Row in Los Angeles when they were broadcasting there. Judon spoke about, and I wrote this for nutsandboltsports.com covering the Patriots. Judon spoke about, who calls the plays and who runs the meetings. And he said, Felger asked him, who calls the plays? And Judon said, Steve. Now, Coach Belichick, it might get confusing. Not really, because if you're a football fan, Steve Belichick is, on the defensive side, sticking his tongue out or whatever the fuck he's doing. Calling the plays. And he said, no, and then Felger said, well, isn't it kind of odd, so Mayo runs the meetings and Steve calls the plays. And Judon said, well, Coach Mayo runs the meetings. Sometimes, Steve runs the meeting. Sometimes, Patricia runs the meetings. He said, emphasized Coach Mayo. He didn't say Coach Steve. He said Steve. Like Steve, like down the street, Steve. Like me. Like I'm Steve. Like, oh yeah, Steve's calling the plays. Or Steve's, yeah. He's just another guy. He's just the coach's son. He's nobody. That's how I take it. Like, he's just another guy. But Coach Bill Belichick. Now that's title, right? That's who you respect. And I think Coach Gerard Mayo was saying one thing, and they were like, Coach Mayo, and then Steve's calling the plays, and it's like, we don't want Steve calling the plays. I don't think they want Steve calling the plays. I don't. Judon obviously never said that last week, and he obviously didn't talk bad about Steve. But the way he didn't say Coach Steve or Coach Steve or Coach Belichick, but he said Coach Mayo, it really kind of makes you think, okay, well, this guy's just another guy, and everyone's going to respect Mayo. That's probably why the defense was out of sorts the second half of the season, because Mayo's telling them to do one thing, and then Steve is calling the plays on the sideline, like, yeah, just do this. But they don't want to listen to him. They want to listen to Coach Gerard Mayo. Why? Because he played in the system, he knows what he's doing, He knows that defense inside and out more than Steve Belichick does. He just knows it because his father has been coaching for 22 years. He was on the sideline holding a clipboard while his father was the head coach winning Super Bowls with the greatest quarterback of all time. Gerard Mayo was out on the field performing on that defense. Gerard Mayo should be the defensive coordinator. Fact, not opinion, period, end of story. Gerard Mayo should be the de facto defensive coordinator. He should be holding the meetings and calling the plays. Have Steve hold a clipboard like he was doing for his father 20 years ago and just put on a headset and whatever. Have him coach a position or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. He shouldn't be calling the plays. It's absolutely stupid. That's just my opinion. And Troy Brown on the other side of the ball should absolutely be wide receivers coach because the wide receivers coach also went to fucking Las Vegas. So Troy Brown, all-time great Patriot. He should be the wide receivers coach as well. Having said that, there's a documentary out. There's a new documentary, 10-part documentary on the New England Patriots after the book by Jeff Benedict, The Dynasty. It's a 10-part docuseries. I'm reading from theapple.com. On the 10-part docuseries is based on the critically acclaimed New York Times bestselling book by author Jeff Benedict. With unprecedented access to the New England Patriots, Benedict spent 2 years inside the organization and chronicled the rise and historic 20-year run of the Patriots during the Brady, Belichick, Kraft era. So, here's my take on this documentary, 10-part, 10-piece documentary. How many books and documentaries and football lives and Man in the Arenas, The Last Dance, New England Patriots are we going to get? I mean, it's cool, but we're not going to see anything noteworthy, right? So here's my thing, right? During the 20-year run of the Brady, Belichick, Kraft era. So are we going to get inside access to when Brady retired and didn't mention the Patriots and Robert Kraft pulled a temper tantrum in the offices of Gillette Stadium? Are we going to get that footage? No, we're not. We're not going to get that footage. Are we going to get the footage when the Patriots and the Buccaneers were here in October and Belichick and Kraft's on the 50-yard line with the video camera waiting for Tom to come out and Kraft's going to go walk into the tunnel and meet Tom? Are we going to get that footage too? Because Tom didn't come out and see him? Okay, we know what happened here. We know what happened. Plus, it's not even on regular TV. You got to go buy it, like Man in the Arena. I mean, $6 on ESPN Plus, fine. But Brady doesn't say much. It's kind of just, we know what this is. We know the fluff. We don't want the fluff. We want the dirt. Right? We want the dirt. I don't know. It's like, we already seen this movie. It's just being retold over and over and over again. From a different lens. I don't know. It's like, Kraft's not going to put in this documentary of him screaming and yelling because Brady didn't mention the Patriots in his retirement speech, but he mentioned the Water Boy and everyone else in Tampa when he retired from the NFL last week. So, I don't know. I think it's cool. And it's not the Brady, Belichick, Kraft era. It's the Brady Belichick era. Kraft gets credit for building he's the greatest owner in professional sports. But he's a businessman and the success was built on the leadership of Belichick and Brady working together, and he deserves credit for that, absolutely. but when it's all said and done, it's the Brady Belichick era, and Kraft's just, I kind of agree with the sentiment of it's our responsibility to include Kraft. I mean, if you want to include Kraft, it's like including the Chiefs owners with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. It just doesn't make any sense. Jerry Jones, like including Jerry Jones with Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott if they ever, went on a run, which will never happen, but just go with it. You know what I mean? It's like you wouldn't include Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. Or, you wouldn't include the Hunt family with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. You would just say Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. The Brady Belichick Kraft era, the Kraft thing is, yeah. So, I don't know. I think this documentary series is going to be like Man in the Arena, The Last Dance. Like, it's just what more? You're not going to get dirt. You're not going to get anything. You're not. You're just not. Right? So, having said that, I'm going to talk about Richard Seymour in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I think that's great. I think he's one of those all-time defensive players who came in, was drafted, and won 3 Super Bowls, went to the Raiders, I think for that Randy Moss deal. And I also want to say this. This is who I think the Patriots should also put in, the Hall of Fame should also put in for the Patriots during that era. Rodney Harrison, Willie McGinnis, Adam Vinatieri, obviously Tom Brady. And I'm sure there's a lot more. Teddy Bruschi. But Rodney Harrison, definitely. Adam Vinatieri, obviously. Randy Moss, even though he didn't win a Super Bowl. But yeah, that's who I would put in. But Richard Seymour definitely deserved it. I'm going to end it. I'm going to end the show on this note. Richard Seymour, I should say the Patriots posted a video of Richard Seymour telling Robert Kraft that he is being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This is from the New England Patriots Twitter account. Here is the audio of that.
See the Godfather. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Tanya. Unexpected surprise.
I know.
How are you, sweetie?
I got some good news for you. If you don't mind
Come
me
on
sharing
out
it.
and
Yeah, absolutely. We're here in LA, baby.
Sunny?
Yeah. Well,
so what's going on, big guy?
Obviously you've been a tremendous and proud supporter of me throughout my career, and the great organization of the Patriots drafted me, and I only felt that it was right to, let you know first that, obviously tonight being here in LA with the Super Bowl, that I'm the newest member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Awesome. That's great. I don't know if there's another player in their first 4 years in the league, right? Won 3 Super Bowls. The difference you made on our team was fantastic, and I have the most amazing memories because you talk so calmly and you're so cool. And wow, I love it. That's awesome.
No, I appreciate it so much. You've been just a model owner, so influential, not just in football, but just a businessman, and your philanthropy and everything that you mean.
Thank you for giving me that honor.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Wow, we go back a long way.
Wow. This honor is my legacy. But when you think about it in perspective, like, you're the elite of the elite. And, what that really means, I really probably hadn't really grasped it and put it all in perspective, but, you know, to say I'm honored and grateful will be an understatement.
So that was Richard Seymour with Bob Kraft telling him that he's being elected. He got elected, I should say, to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And do I think in 5 years that Tom Brady will do the same thing? Yes. Yes. Would he do it if he got elected this year? Probably not. Just because, again, I think he's still salty about how things went down. But I think in 5 years, because it didn't end well when Seymour was here, when Seymour left either, when he was traded. It didn't end well with the Patriots. So I think that time will heal all wounds, and they'll go on like nothing ever happened. In 5 years, they'll be all hugging each other and kissing each other when Brady's up there and he's, you know, with wearing the Brady, you know, with the Brady hat and because he's not going in as a Buck, or he might go in as a Buck. Who the F knows? But yeah, everything will be fine probably in like 5 years when he gets in 2027. So before I wrap it up, I'm going to announce a live preview draft show called Steve's Draft Board. I've kind of been thinking about it, and I'm going to try to do it. I don't know how it's going to work yet, but I'm going to announce it's going to be on YouTube, and I'm going to do... It's going to last like 2 months. So every week I'll do a different position, probably defense in March. And then in April I'll do offense leading up to the NFL draft at the end of the month of April. So you look out for that. That's going to be coming probably in a couple of weeks. And as far as everything else, hope you guys have a great week. And we'll see you. I'll talk to you next week with probably another full week of Patriots content. Thanks. Go Pats.